Consider that the very reason that Donald Trump has faced more nationwide injunctions than Joe Biden is precisely because Trump is grabbing unprecedented power from Congress and from the judiciary, power that is not accorded to any president because we do not have kings in this country. If you try to eliminate birthright citizenship, jail people for free speech, slash funding and fire people, and eliminate departments that are actually established by Congress, if you try to use Cold War era regulations to do mass deportations, then yeah, you're gonna get nationwide injunctions. So maybe if you don't like the injunctions, stop doing the illegal stuff. The argument that the judiciary has run amok is a very convenient political argument that's being weaponized to eliminate the fundamental checks and balances that our founders put in place to protect the independence of the judiciary from the political branches of government. If there are threats to the independence of the judiciary, they come when unelected billionaires try to buy court seats. They come when there is no ethics code that stops justices from being captured by special interests. The lower courts have played a critical role in this independence from political systems, delivering results that people from both parties have liked and disliked. During the Obama and Biden administration, lower courts did rule against the government in cases dealing with student debt relief and DACA. Courts have also ruled in favor of guns, religious liberty, and abortion restrictions. Democrats may not have liked those rulings, but we did not simply try to eliminate those courts or impeach those judges. And did you ever hear Republicans complaining about the judiciary when those favorable rulings were coming about? Of course not. One of the most important roles of an independent judiciary is upholding civil rights and liberties. The judiciary is often the last line of defense for protecting the vulnerable from the powerful and the minority from the majority. This is particularly true when it comes to immigration. Last night, we learned that the Trump administration mistakenly deported a father with protected legal status. This is the latest amongst numerous questionable deportations, including men being deported for having tattoos, for autism awareness, and the names of close family members. Trump's basis for these deportations is the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. This statute authorizes the president to detain and deport non-citizens when there is, quote, a declared war or an invasion or predatory incursion, end quote, by a, quote, foreign nation or government. Professor Shaw, could you briefly explain why the courts have determined why there is no appropriate basis for Trump to invoke the Alien Enemies Act?
Well, I should say it's all in a very preliminary posture, but Judge Boasberg issued his initial temporary restraining order essentially on the grounds that individuals who were subject to this deportation on the basis of this invocation of a 1798 statute that has been used 3 times in our history needed some opportunity to contest or present evidence before being sent to prisons in El Salvador. So this was, just to be really clear, Judge Boasberg did not order anyone's release inside the United States. Everyone is able to stay in U.S. custody. It was simply a determination that the basic demands of due process were not suspended by the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act.
And why are those due process rights so important in the immigration context in particular?
Well, so I think that the example that you gave, Congresswoman, of this reporting we saw last night of an individual who appears to have been incorrectly seized and sent to a prison, maybe there was some other basis, but not the specific Alien Enemies Act invocation basis for deporting him, makes clear that the stakes kind of couldn't be higher than in the immigration context, especially if we're talking about not just detention, but deportation and expulsion. Due process protects us from being summarily deprived of life, liberty, or property. And, those interests in some ways are at their highest when we're talking about the government taking custody and potentially expelling an individual.
And this law was used, wasn't it? It was invoked by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to detain 120,000 Americans of Japanese ancestry during World War II?
That's right. It was part of the basis of the detention and internment of Japanese Americans.
And so these actions don't just affect foreigners. What's at stake are constitutional rights for all Americans. Can you explain to any American who might be watching this hearing why they should be concerned about their rights, given what the Trump administration is doing?
Right. I think that the Constitution is the only thing standing between any of us and being summarily placed on a plane. And judges are the ones who are often in the position of enforcing those constitutional rights. So this is not about protecting an other, right? This is about protecting all of us. And if the administration is not duty-bound to respect the basic requirements of the Constitution with respect to these individuals, it's not clear why it's duty-bound to respect those rights as to any of us.
I think that is a very important point, and I think we should be focusing our attention on how to best preserve our independent judiciary, not delegitimize it. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit an article, seek unanimous consent to submit an article for the record. This is from The Atlantic. An administrative error sends a Maryland father to a Salvadorian prison.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back.